In this crazy world with chaos all around, sometimes you gotta escape, find solid ground, put your phone on vibrate, step outside the door, let nature's lullaby guide you like never before. Listen to the rougher, sweetest tone. Nature's melody will soothe your soul. Don't let the little things bring you down. Take a walk outside and wear your crown. Walk tall like the wind, caress your hair. Feel the warm embrace of sunshine in the air. Leave your worries behind, let it all unfurl. Embrace the serenity of the natural world. Listen to the rougher, sweetest tone. Nature's melody will soothe your soul. Don't let the little things bring you down. Take a walk outside and wear your crown. Walk tall like the wind.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you guys having a wonderful week so far. On today, it's Wednesday, August the 14th, 2024. We'll be starting here in a little bit.
Don't let the little things bring you in this crazy world with chaos all around. Sometimes you gotta skip that solid ground. Put your phone on vibrate, step outside the door. Let nature's lullaby guide you like never before. It's a phone on vibrate, step outside the door. Let nature's lullaby guide you like never before. Listen to the rougher, sweetest tone. Nature's melody will soothe your soul. Don't let the little things bring you down. Take a walk outside and wear your crown. Walk tall.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. Unfortunately, I didn't have like a notice go up earlier to let people know that I was going live. Quite honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to go live today. I was still trying to figure that out because was just doing my things, like I do every day. But so glad to have you guys here. So glad to have the people that are in the chat right now. So glad to have you guys here as well. And welcome to another broadcast. This is our midweek. We're going to try this out. We're always testing out different formats here. This is our midweek news broadcast, so we had one earlier this week. We're going to do one in the middle, and then we're going to try to do one either like Friday, Saturday, Sunday-ish. So I'm still trying to figure that out right now on the winds and all of that stuff. So anyway, so glad to have you guys here. And like I said, I hope you had you're having a wonderful week so far. Temperature wise here, it's over 100. I'm in Arizona. So what do you expect? You better not be out here complaining if, that's just the norm out here. But we all good out here. We all good. We are all good out here. What you see on your screen there is just a reminder that we are having our promo over on sambatree.com. Save 18% store-wide. That includes even the bulk items. You can save 18% off. And this is the back-to-school immunity sale. And the code you see on the screen right now, it says Boost Well. All one word, Boost Well. If you don't type that in, you ain't going to get your 18%. So 18% off store-wide. That's what you got over there. Make sure you head on over to sambatree.com. We're going to be just, for this broadcast, just pretty much covering a little bit of that, or whatever. We'll talk about some of the Kamala stuff, but man, I tell you what, I am it's very good to see the amount of pushback that I'm seeing from various black content creators that are out here that are making it known that, hey, listen, we're not going to be bullied into your foolishness. We're not going to be bullied into, having to vote, because they've already wore out the whole, if you don't vote, your ancestors are going to rise from the dead, and led by Lazarus himself, and they're going to beat you upside the head, and they're going to wag their little bony finger at you and say, how dare you not vote for this black woman because she is black. We said it, we believe it, and that settles it. She's black. So that's it. That's all. And then the moment you try to engage in some real conversation, okay, it's not so much that of a color of her skin. We don't care about that. What we're looking at is, let's look at the track record. Let's look at the track record of what this individual has put out. Does she have an exclusive track record where she's exclusively dealing with black folks, not the catch-all policies, whereas black, brown, and indigenous people? We ain't talking about that. We're talking exclusively black Americans. Does she have a policy that is exclusively black Americans? I had someone earlier today try to throw out the whole, well, she helped donate, I forgot how many millions of dollars to HBCUs. Okay, we can give you that. We can partially give you that. But here's the thing with HBCUs, though. HBCUs, I wish I had the report up here, but HBCUs, there's a couple of things that are going on that people, again, you're not going to hear people talk about this. Number one, the demographics of HBCUs has been changing over the last 10 plus 15 years. So these schools aren't necessarily exclusively black schools like they once were. But like I said, again, just for the sake of argument, we can still say, all right, they put that. But wait, there's more. There's still more to add to that. When you then look at, now this is according to Pew Research, when you then look at just period, wide scale, black students, college students, and you ask the question, what schools are they going to the most? It's not HBCUs. Now, HBCUs do have a high percentage of black American students that attend their institutions, but they're not, black students as a whole are not going to HBCUs almost exclusively. That's not true at all, because black HBCUs were actually set up, you remember, at a time when black folks did not or could not had access to the regular colleges. So there you go with the HBCUs, which were, by the way, funded by Jews. In case anybody didn't know that, Jewish people helped establish HBCUs. They weren't just black churches coming together. They got that money from somewhere. You look at the history, you'll see that was the case. So that's something of note there. So, but anyway, these institutions were established for black folks at one time because we were being excluded out of the main colleges and universities. But things have changed, and now black students are able to go to these other colleges and universities out here. Now, the reason why, in many cases, why black students may defer to going to HBCUs is because oftentimes they are rejected based on GPA or maybe finances or whatever. HBCUs has become kind of the catch-all, if you will. You know what I'm saying? But even with that, the demographics has changed, and it's continuing to change, just like a lot of the college campuses all over the nation here. So it's, so in the next 25, maybe years, 20, 25 years, I don't know if we can even call these institutions HBCUs anymore. I mean, you could say it, historically it was, but that's not really what's, the case now. So it's not, so, I mean, if you want to get really, 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 really technical with it, are black people benefiting from that? Yes. But there's also an emerging group of people who are not black Americans who are also benefiting from this as well. So that's one thing to consider, anytime someone brings up that argument. But here's another part of that argument that I would say that it's not really talked about. And I do want to mention this. And that's this, is that who are the main benefactors of education from HBCUs? You stop and think about it, you say, well, it's pretty much Black Americans. That's partial. That is true for the most part. That is true. But the people who benefit the most out of that education are going to be who? The top tier students, right? The top tier students are going to be the ones that are the main benefactors of the education that's provided to them by HBCUs. Okay, I think we can all agree with that. The same goes with any other institution. All right, it's going to be the people who are the top performers, right? Now, in HBCUs, many of those people who are categorized as the top performers, they're the top people. Well, guess what they're part of? They're part of the Black Greek letter organizations. So really, a lot of this financing, in some sense, yes, it is benefiting the school, but who's getting the most benefit out of that financing? On the backdoor end, it's going to be the Black Greek letter organization members. Now, why is that significant? Because now people say, well, they're all black we all black at the end of the day. We've talked about this. Now, do Black Greek letter organizations, do they help the Black community? And I'm going to put air quotes on that. Yeah, to a degree. But when you look at the details of it, when you look at the fine print of what they do, primarily the best opportunities they use a reserve for themselves and for their members. And it's a separate kind of situation there, which makes sense if you're going to have that kind of society, if you're going to create that kind of group where, you guys, whatever you do in order to be accepted, hit each other, eat each other's throw up, whatever it is that y'all do in order to be accepted by it. It makes sense, that you would do that. But my argument, along with many other people's arguments, is that did Black people really need that? I mean, we're at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Why do we need a high society, so to speak? And let's measure what that high society has actually done. Well, you can actually look at, for example, you can look at Atlanta. Atlanta is a hotbed for Black Greek letter organization members. How can we quantify what the benefit has been to the city of Atlanta having all of these different individuals? Well, I mean, now you're getting into a whole nother topic. We lived in Atlanta back when before the Olympic money started pouring in, and around, where the Mercedes-Benz Stadium is. You had historically Black churches in that area. This is near the HBCUs that was in there, the AU Center. There was a lot of low-income Black folks that lived in that area. But when that stadium came in, a lot of that stuff got cleared out and displacing a lot of low-income Black folks here. All right. And then when you look at places like Midtown, Atlanta, some of these other places, yeah, that money came in. But Black folks, again, that lived in that area, who were not part of these groups, they didn't have any kind of like protections, if you will. And that's my biggest thing when it comes to Black Greek letter organizations. At the end of the day, they look out for themselves. And if you want to be a part of it, that's you. But you have to tell the whole truth if you're going to kind of look at this thing. So getting back to what I'm saying as far as financing is concerned, the other part of that is that, yes, they did get financing under the Biden administration. However, when you break it down even further, who are the main benefactors of that financing? Well, it's going to be, a lot of it is going to be the top benefactors of these schools who are largely made up of Black Greek letter organization members. So that's just another way to make, like I said, let me be clear. Does the school in general benefit? Yes, they do. But who are the top ones that benefit? That's the focus. So we can't, and the reason why I'm pointing that out is because it's this top class that actually has a long history of trying to separate itself or themselves from everybody else when it's convenient. Do you understand? So those are conversations that I think worth having if you're really going to have a measure this thing and really look at this thing as it's, because a lot of, you're going to hear these politicians throwing out a lot of stuff. You know, this person, they were throwing out stuff like, the first, they appointed the first black this and the first black this and the first, this is the first black, whatever it was. See, when you hear these things, see the main drivers behind this, and when you look at the black community, or what we call the black community in general, who are the main people that are pushing this whole thing? Well, it's actually, I would say it's the 35 on up. It's the people of a particular generation, the older people, and I'm in that I'm in that pool as well, but I'm not, as you can see clearly, I ain't with that. But it's these older generation people who are really caught up in that, who are still fascinated with the idea of seeing somebody, black faces in high places. You know what I mean? So that's who you're seeing a lot of that's really talking this up and just, oh my goodness, if we can only see a black person in high place. But the younger generation, they're really not that impressed by that stuff. So, and that's why you're going to see. So when you really pare this down, a lot of it is, in fact, I mean, you do have young people who are in it, but it's also a lot of older people that's largely making this up and pushing this because they come from a generation who basically, they're still very much impressed by that. But when you at Steve Harvey, basically the Steve Harvey generation, like, for example, that even with that, I was thinking about that the other day, like Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey. I mean, these are comedians that started out really kind of doing the church jokes. I mean, for me personally, they're not funny. They were funny maybe at one time, maybe when I was younger, but they're not funny now. And that's why you're seeing a lot of these comedians that started off like that. Now they're moving on to, they ain't really doing the church joke thing anymore. But, it's that generation, they really, it's funny to them, the jokes about pastor and how he preaches and the guy that's effeminate and the church mother and all this. I mean, how many times we're going to do, but that generation, that's their thing. Just like voting Democrat, it's all the same thing. But it's good to see how a lot of significant number of black folks on social media who are waking up to this and saying, no, we cannot, we're, on one hand, we're grateful for, the previous generation and some of the strides you made, but we can't continue to follow that way because, the whole broken clock strategy is simply not working for us. And we got to have to call that out for what it is. So it's really going to be interesting how this plays out, especially with next month, Trump getting his sentencing. Some people believe he will be sent in jail. It could be, could not be, don't know. If that's the case, if they'll send him to jail. I wouldn't be too surprised if they did it. But it's very possible if that does happen. Then what's the country really going to look like at that point? Because that's going to piss off a lot of people, if that were to happen. But nonetheless, it's going to be a very interesting few months. And so it's just, there's a lot of people out here. I think what pisses off a lot of people like myself really is this seeing other black people and how they're pressuring black folks for not, I mean, it's not so much, it's pressuring, but by shame, like shaming you, calling your names and all that kind of foolishness. It's like, you got to stop that. And if you're someone out there that does that, you got to stop that because that doesn't work. But it's also, in a way, I'm kind of glad it's happening because it really will, the separation is really happening and we really begin to see who's who and who ain't. And I hope it doesn't stop. I hope people, really will continue to mark these people and don't fall back into the old habits, of just kind of like, we are family. No, we're not. You know what I mean? I've already said on this platform many times, I said, there's a whole generation of people that's just going to have to die. I don't see any other way around this. They're just going to have to die because there's no way we can continue doing things the way these previous generations have done it. There's some victories that we can put our flag on and say we're thankful for this, but there's a lot of failure policies. There's a lot of failure attitudes that we cannot continue. It cannot pass on to the next generation. and one of which is always voting for, this one particular party. And it doesn't matter if you vote for Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter. But when you put all your eggs in one basket and believe that Mr. Charlie, if we can get the right Mr. Charlie sitting in the house, everything going to be all right. That mindset has to be destroyed. And the people who push that mindset, they're going to have to be destroyed along with it. And I'm very serious. It's going to be a long process, but I'm just telling you, a lot of these people, unfortunately, we may not see it in our lifetime, those of us that are here right now. But if what we call the black community today is to continue to exist, there's a lot of people that's going to have to be removed off of the planet. And I'm going to show you some numbers, something I posted just yesterday. You're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. OK, so we're going to get into that, and we're going to talk about some other news items as well. Just a few things. That's it. I don't want to keep you in here too long. But first, as we're getting into that, I do want to take some time, just a moment here, and acknowledge someone very special in my life. Very, very special. And that is my wife, Nicole. She's not here. I think she's out somewhere, which is good. Okay. So tomorrow is our 26th anniversary. 26 years we have been married. And it's been really something. It really has been. And I have to say, it's the best choice I've made in my life, marrying her. Let me share something with you. I was going to make a separate video off of this, but I guess I'll just do it now. I can go back. This is in my single days. All right. This is my single days. I was, out of school, I was out in the work field for a while or whatever. And, you can see the pretty little girls walking around and all of that, and you don't just jump with anybody. For me, I would just kind of like, let me see, let me try this thing, man. Let me see what I got. You know what I mean? And so, I'm talking to some, and it was this one person I saw that I was very shy when it came to talking to girls, very shy. But I'll just start probably in my more recent, well, when I say recent, this is, again, prior to me being married, talking to this, it was this one girl that caught my attention, and, we were pretty good friends, and talked to her and all of that. And one day I said, I'm actually seeing, ladies, understand when a real man steps up to you, it may seem like we just kind of shooting it and just like throwing things out. But someone like me, in that time, it's a lot. That was nights and nights and days of building myself up to, even present it. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my goodness, okay, what if she says no and all that, going through all of that. So finally I worked up enough courage, and I said, okay, let me lay out my, what I see and where I see potentially this could be going and all of that, just trying to put some direction, on this thing and see if we walk in the same path, that kind of thing. So anyway, so I remember on the phone, we're talking, and I mentioned, hey, look what I thought, whatever. And so, she was like, okay, all right. And didn't hear nothing for the longest time. I was like, oh, well, so I would see her in church, and then it was like, she would be kind of like avoiding me and all this stuff. So I was like, oh, snap, what's going on? And then finally, she did reach back to me. This is after like a long time, man. It seemed like a long time. And she said, I it was the whole, I really like you, but, I think we should be friends. It was that whole immediately friend zoned. And so I was like, oh, okay, all right, fine, cool, right? But inside, I was dying. I was like, I was dying because of the embarrassment. Now, this is the second time I actually did this out of order, right? That was the second time. The first person, it was someone that I knew. It was kind of the same thing. I had to work myself up like, okay, all right, here we go. All right, you could do this. You could do the same thing. And it was like, came back, same thing. I see you as a friend, that kind of thing. I was like, okay, cool. It's funny. I saw this comedian and they said that anytime when they say that, they usually means that you ugly. I didn't think of that then, but anyway. But anyway, I look back. Okay, so the second person, the person that I told you about first time, the first person I told you about, the thing is that we were part of a ministry and they were very close with the pastor and all of that. And so the pastor, he was seen as like the father, and it's like, Pastor, do you see anything with that? It was that kind of thing. And so you have a bit of religion that got up in there as well. And then the other person too, they, whatever happened to them. But I'm mentioning that because when I look back at that, and then when Nicole came along, it was like, I didn't feel any of that. Like I literally didn't feel any of that. Like I had to work myself up and, and try to build my stuff. No, it wasn't like that at all. When I tell you, it was just like smooth. It was just so smooth because we were very good friends. But it was so smooth. I remember when she was like, she asked, she said, now, we're just friends, right? I just want to make sure, you ain't trying to do nothing or whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure. But we were still talking. That kind of thing. And then, eventually one thing led to another. Next, I'm getting on one knee and all of that. And the rest was history. And I tell you, it was something. But I look back at that. I don't really think about those people at all. Like I ain't got no secret Facebook account and I'm going on there. I wonder what they doing. What they do. Because it was something when I knew I picked the right one, there was no looking back. There was literally no looking back. And Nicole, for me, has been someone that literally is my breath. That's the only way I can describe it. It's our relationship is so like this, before I even think things, sometimes we just finish each other's sentences, and she has been more than a friend. She has been a wonderful wife. And like I said, more than a friend. And she was worth those embarrassments that I mentioned earlier. And when I tell you, I can probably count on a half a hand. I'm being honest, where we actually had an argument. There's been times where we've disagreed on some things, but we don't let that thing drag at all. We don't ever do that at all. And when you find the right one, gentlemen, I'm telling you, it is so worth the wait. It's so worth the wait. A lot of, Nicole, as women get older or whatever, they start looking at themselves. I don't look like this and I look like I'm getting away. I don't even see any of that. I don't. I mean, it doesn't really, like, I'm not like sitting back like, man, she need to do this or I don't look at any of that. I still see that young, beautiful woman that I fell in love with years ago. I still see that. And I'm so grateful because she has given me something that I don't have to look anywhere else to find. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for what we have built and with each other, have two beautiful children who are now adults. And I'm so grateful for that. That's I don't know if I could have asked for anything more than that. And so literally every day I think about, when I tell you I wake up every day, like, what can I do to make her life better? And I get so frustrated because there are limitations on what you can do. You know what I mean? And I just, if I'm ever frustrated, it's because of that, because I wish I can just, so much more I can do for her, you know, and she just works tirelessly, you know, and just does everything a good wife does and a good friend. And so I just wanted to take the time. I can go on and on and on. I didn't have anything written down or nothing like that, because usually when we share things like this, we do it off camera, you know. But I wanted to take the time to share this because I want people to know that, yes, there are Black husbands and wives out here that really love each other, that are long-term committed to one another and have stable homes, that kind of thing. And don't buy into the nonsense that you see out here on social media, where it's all this back and forth and bashing one another and all this other foolishness. Don't buy into that. Does that kind of stuff exist? Yes, but those are the bad examples. If you want to learn how to be the best, you always look at the good examples. Do you understand? I mean, it's no different if someone wants to, back in the day, in my day, I'm dating myself, you know, we all, you know, as young boys, we used to always pretend that we were Dr. J, you know, I'm Dr. J, or Jordan, you know, as you got older, I'm Jordan, you know, you slamming the ball. You weren't trying to be someone in the D League. You know what I'm saying? You were trying to be the best. Well, marriage is no different. It's no different at all. You find those people who do have good marriages. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of times you really can't. Trying to find that on social media is a very hard thing, because social media allows people to show you the face they want you to see. And so when you see things happen, then it's like, see, I knew I can't trust marriage. I know I can't. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a significant number of us out here who do have great marriages, but we're not going to set up a whole YouTube channel talking about it. I mean, I see the pluses in that, but you also got to be careful with that, because you don't want what you built and established become performative. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of things that cameras don't catch, or the microphone doesn't record. And so that's why I'm very careful of that. And my hope is that, what we put out here, like on platforms like this, it's what comes out of a stable relationship. And I hope you just see it from that perspective. But, you know, all of this, like, hey, Nicole and I, we're going here. I mean, we'll do things like that from time to time. You know, we may show something, but there's value in that. But my encouragement to people is, don't necessarily stake that what you see on social media, because a lot of that can be performative, regardless if it's religious. You've seen it even in religious circles. You get pastors out here that they got everything going on. The next thing you know, they get filed for divorce. And it's like, wait a minute, I didn't see that coming. Well, you know, of course you didn't, because they got editors, they got PR people, they got all the, you can cut stuff out and all that stuff. But don't base successful relationships on what you see on social media. And I know it's kind of weird, because I'm talking about a successful relationship on social media. But, find those people in your family, in your space, who have successful relationships. And I would say learn from them, glean from them. Of course, they're not going to have everything perfect, but, you can learn by focusing on good relationships, established relationships, solid relationships. You're increasing the chances of you having one yourself, and so that's probably as much as I'll say on that. I'll just leave it at that. But I'm very appreciative of her, and I'm very thankful for her. And I would say that I've been truly blessed, if anything else, to have her in my life, and I'm very grateful for that. So I just wanted to take the time to honor her and everything she means to me. And I ain't really voicing everything, but I just wanted to share that with y'all. Just let you know that when you see me, you're seeing both of us, when I'm in front of this camera or behind this mic. And so I just wanted to take that time and share that with y'all. So anyway, so that's it. And let's go ahead and move on here. Okay, so where do we go from there? How do you transition from that? Okay, so let me go to, let's see. Let's go to what I wanted to show you guys. This is the color of wealth. Let me pull that website up here. Color of wealth. Okay, is this it? Hope this is it. Yeah, this is it. This is it. This is it. We're going to go to Los Angeles. Okay, here we go. Here we go. We're going to go to Los Angeles. Let's pull that up. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this here. All right, so I posted this the other day, or yesterday, I should say, on our community page. And I want y'all to take a look at this again because it's very important. And the reason why this is important, because it really highlights why it is important for us to point out, separate, or delineate Black American, or what we call Black American, from everybody else. And so what you see on your screen here, this is the net worth by race. Now, this is in Los Angeles. Now, Los Angeles or LA is a very extreme case, because it's very expensive. We've lived in Los Angeles, so yeah, it's very expensive out there, okay? But Los Angeles, if you know the history of Los Angeles, at least part of it, has a very deep Black American history. Black Americans, like a lot of places, helped build that city. And but there's a lot of deep history there, and Black people have been very much a part of the roots of that city. But let's take a look at this according to what they have on the site here. Let's look at the net worth by race. Okay, shall we? So it's on the screen. I just want to make sure it's on the screen. Okay, so you got an African Black, 72,000 is the median income. All right, which puts them above the median value. All right, Asian Indian. All right, that would be Kamala and the gang, right? Gosh, 460,000 above, which they said, which is 439,000 above the median. What in the world? Look at the Chinese, 408,200, which is 387 above the median. Filipino, 243,000, which is 222,000 above the median. These people are doing quite well so far, aren't they? Let's go on. The Japanese are killing it. 592,000, which is 571,000 above the median value. Now look at the Koreans. Koreans, yeah, 23.4. But isn't it interesting? Let's stop here for a second. They're 23.4, which is 2,400 above the median value. Now, this is a very interesting one as I'm sitting here looking at this and we're just kind of going through this. This is very interesting because who controls most, if not all, the beauty supply shops, especially in LA? I can answer that one because even when we were living out there, it was Koreans. But they're 2,400 above the median income, the median value, sorry. Let's look at Mexicans. Mexicans are 3,500, which is 17.5 below the median value. So Mexicans right there. Let's look at this one here. Other Latino. You like that accent, huh? 42.5, which is 21.5 above the median income. All right, let's go to Vietnamese. 61.5, which is 40,500 above the median value. And of course, let's look at white folks. 355,000, which is 334 above the median. Well, now let's go to U.S. black. 4,000, which is 17,000 below the median value. You see that? So the difference between the U.S. blacks and Mexicans is a difference of $500. We're actually $500 net worth. We're $500 more valuable, quote unquote, than Mexicans. It's a difference of $500 according to this. Now, again, this is in Los Angeles, which is an extreme case. But the reason why I want to target on Los Angeles here is because of the fact in 4 years, they're going to have the Olympics. And as someone who has lived in a city where the Olympics, I saw it before it came, when it came, and then afterwards, I can tell you right now that by the time the Olympics comes and goes from Los Angeles, what the U.S. black demographic in the Los Angeles area is going to be decimated. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Because anytime that you're talking 4 years from now, what we know as a U.S. black population in terms of median value, this is going to be decimated. Because as you know, that anytime the Olympics comes into a city or in a town or a country or whatever, or in this case is based in the city, everything goes up. It becomes more expensive. And as someone who's lived in Pasadena, someone who's lived in Orange County and all that, I could tell you that even then it was very expensive to live there. I can't even imagine what it's like now. So it's gone. In 4 years, this right here, this little demographic right here that you see right here, in 4 years, they're going to be gone. This is how real this is. So when people flip out and trip out when you're asking, hey, what are the specific policies for black Americans? This is why we're asking that. This is why this question is being asked. This is why I don't, when you see the boule types that are getting excited because Beyonce going to be performing at the DNC next week or whenever it is. Or you got Steve Harvey, be quiet, Dwayne. You got Steve Harvey out here that's out here talking about telling black folks, y'all better be quiet because I'm just going to be lobbing her alley-oop. That's all I'm doing. I ain't going to be asking her no hard questions. See, Steve Harvey can get a house in LA and be cool. But the black folks that live in the areas in LA have been there traditionally for years and years and years. In 4 years, they ain't going to have a place. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm just showing you this is what it looks like. And this is why, so when you hear black people saying, well, some black people saying, you just caught up on just her skin color. No, you are. We're looking at policies. This is a danger zone right here. All these, even African blacks, look at you, for the Africans in the house. Do you see why now we have to delineate ourselves in terms of economics? Because I can tell you right now, this group ain't trying to lift up U.S. blacks. They're not. This is a race. What you're looking at is a race to the top. And according to this, the Japanese are winning they doing quite well in the LA area. All right. So this website, this is colorofwealth.org. And I would encourage you to check it out. They have different cities on here too. Let me see if I go to Chicago. Let's see what Chicago looks like. They got laid out different here. So I haven't looked through this one yet, so I can't. Yeah, I'm not gonna comment on it because I haven't. I need to look through that because there's a lot of stuff going on there. But check it out though. Okay, but the LA one I think is worth the focus because they are going to have the Olympics in the next by 2028. The Olympics is coming, which means that there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be displaced by the time the Olympics comes. What someone said, he said, I'm Afro Canadian with Caribbean heritage, but I don't see any Caribbean folks on that list. Yeah, LA isn't really known for that for a lot of Caribbeans. I'm not saying any Caribbeans are there, but it's probably because the numbers are so small. LA, you're talking LA now, because a lot of times you'll see Caribbeans moving to places like New York, some of those other places. Why? It's geographic. For geographic reasons. It's a lot easier for your cousins, your auntie, and all them to jump on a plane from New York to fly down to Jamaica or to Barbados or whatever than it is catching a plane from LA to out there. So a lot of that has to do with that. That's why you see most Caribbeans, at least in the U.S., that live on the East Coast versus on the West Coast. Again, I'm not saying you don't have Caribbeans live on the West Coast. I'm just saying that a majority of them will be on the East Coast for that reason. That's why. At least that's what I believe it is. That makes a lot more sense. But anyway, let's move on here and let's see the other news here. Like I said, we're just going to be kind of touching on the news of the week so far. Let's see. We have Kamala Harris. Let's touch on that for a moment. Kamala Harris, she has it's been really something to see how people have not really been asking about her policies. Like, where's your policies? There's two things right now that people are starting to ask about. Number one, why are you not doing press conferences? That's one. Another thing is, why is it that you haven't laid out your policies? What specific policies are you standing on? Now, I can give her some of that allow some of that because you have the DNC coming up soon. So that's probably when they're planning to do the rollout, which I can kind of get. But it is still kind of strange because at least some of it would have been out by now, but it's not. And I think it's, they still trying to figure out themselves. So, but I do believe we will know in its entirety by the time the convention comes up, which I'm not watching, by the way, just letting you know, because I don't have any interest in seeing all of that circus of clown. I can't stomach it. I couldn't stomach the Republican one. I'm not watching that. I don't care about all of that. So anyway, let's move on here. Okay, so but there is something of concern that people should have when it comes to her economic policy. All right. And so here's an article here. Harris economic policy draws on Biden White House alums Brian Deese and Mike Pyle. Now, those names may not mean anything to you. They hardly mean anything to me. But when you go down to when you drill down and find out what these guys, their little track record here, it should make some sense to you. OK, it should be concerning because both of these guys used to work for BlackRock. Okay. I'll just read a little bit here. It says economist Brian Deese has begun advising Vice President Kamala Harris as she develops her economic policy plan, according to three people familiar with the matter. Deese is a former director of President Joe Biden's National Economic Council and a fellow MIT Center for Energy and Environmental Policy Research. Harris has said she has plans to release her brand new presidential campaign first formal platform focused on lifting up the middle class in the coming days. As Harris and her team has been putting together the policy plan, Deese has been a key advisor and sounding board for Harris, said that people who were granted an amenity in order to discuss internal campaigning operations. It says Harris is also working with Mike Pyle, a former deputy national security advisor for international economics at Biden's White House. These people said anyway, and it goes on. It talks about, lobbyists for different corporations and stuff like that. That's all pretty standard there. But it mentions down here that both of them had a connection with BlackRock. All right. Now that should be very concerning to a lot of people, and I'll point out why just in a moment here. It does say it in this article. I don't see it, but yeah, they have a connection with. Here it is. Both DC and Powell are alums of the asset management giant BlackRock. Key Wall Street experience that they bring to the Harris team. Powell was a global chief investment strategist at BlackRock. DC did 3-year stint at the company's head sustainable investing. Okay, so they both have connections with BlackRock. Let's go here. Now, this is a very interesting article. It doesn't mention BlackRock directly, but one of the things I will say to you is that BlackRock has made it very clear that they are about buying out a lot communities, large scale communities. This article talks a little bit about it. I'm not going to get too much into this, but it really breaks down how a lot of these investment firms are being very strategic in how they're buying up these homes, and they're controlling the prices and the pricing in the marketplace. But I'm going to turn to RFK Jr. because he's had some words about this, and I want you to hear him talk about it. Let me pull this up here. It's a couple of videos I have. Let's see which one. Okay, so I'll go to this one first here. Okay, let's go here. This video is about a little over a minute long. Let's pull that up. And for those that are just joining us, welcome. All right, let's go.
More importantly, there's 3 giant corporations, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, which collectively, they own each other, so it's really one giant corporation, but they also own 89% of the S&P 500. They own everything.
Jeez.
They've now decided to buy every single family home in America. So if they stay on the current trajectory, they will own 60% of the homes in this country, single family homes, by 2030. They literally are trying to buy everything. And the head of it, Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, is on the board of the World Economic Forum. And what they've said, we want this great reset, which is you will own nothing and you will be happy. Well, they're on their way to making sure that we don't own anything. So you all probably have heard of people who are about to buy a home, and somebody comes in at the last minute with a cash offer and snatches it out of the market.
Right.
And it's usually an LLC with an ambiguous name. But if you trace that up, you'll find it's owned by BlackRock.
Yep. Very good. Absolutely right. This is happening all over the country. He has another video out here. Let me see if I can pull that up for you. So this is who's on there. Now, BlackRock, if you look them up, they talk about they're doing some minority investing or whatever, where they're investing in some of these, black investment firms, not black investment firms, but, black, I think up in Boston, they're doing something where they're building homes, for low income, and then, black and brown people and all that stuff. So if you watch the boys, they're vault. Okay. And those who get it will get it. Okay. So they do just enough to cover their tracks, but they've been very clear that they want to turn the United States into one big rental property. All right. So let me pull up this video here, which is also a little bit over about a minute long. I want you to hear. This is Robert Kennedy. This one's almost 2 minutes long. So let's take a listen to that one, and I'll be right back.
2 years ago, the average price of an American home was $215,000. Today, 2 years later, it's $400,000. And the interest rates during that same period have gone from 1% to 7%. So that home is going to cost him 10 times what would it would cost somebody 2 years ago. And most people don't have a prayer. Most young people don't have a prayer of doing that. We all know kids that age who are living with their parents. We all know people, or most of us know people, who were about to buy a home. They were ready to do it, and at the last moment, somebody comes in with a cash offer and scoops it out from under them. We've all heard those stories. Why is that happening? BlackRock. There's three companies: BlackRock, Vanguard, and
Okay,
State
so he's
Street.
just repeating the same thing in this video.
Those three companies, which all own each other, so it's really one huge behemoth, also own 88% of the S&P 500.
88% of the S&P 500. 88%. You own the country. Gosh. 88%. So I had this thought, and I was just thinking, I said, what people don't realize is this, see, because a lot of us, our eyes are starting to open, okay? Some people's eyes are opening, but there's more people out here, your eyes are opening. And I'll give you an example. Do you really think, regardless if it's Trump, well, let's go back. Biden, I would say, gave us a very good opportunity, provided us with a very good example of the fact that there is no way this old man is controlling this country. There is no way. This man can't even get up the steps. Feeble. He's 80, he's up there. He's up there. And for anybody to sit back and to actually believe that this man is actually sitting up there and like, whoa, wait a minute now. Now, before you send those resources over there, what you're going to do is first, I'm going to pair you up with this person here. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk strategically on how we're going to do this and how we're going to do this. And then while we're doing this, we're going to go over here and then we're going to do you think Biden is handling that? Now, Biden is like the best example. Now, let's think of Kamala Harris. Do you think Kamala Harris, if she wins, you think she's doing all of that? No. Same thing with Trump. I would say the same thing with Trump. Same thing. See, these are figureheads. This is what people need to understand. Who, regardless of who's in the White House, they are figureheads. They're not controlling anything. These people aren't controlling anything. They are there to make you feel a sense of stability, to sell you stuff, to make you feel good about the decisions that are being made by people that you didn't elect. And I think Kamala Harris actually provides us with the second best example, because you see, every time she's given a word salad answer to things when they ask her something. That's why she ain't doing no press conferences right now, because it's just word salad, just all over the place. And if you think, again, this woman is doing it, and it's not because she's a woman, it's just what this is what the structure is. It's like the real people who make the decisions aren't going to be the ones in front of the camera. They're not going to be all this. So this is why it's foolish for people. And this is why I can say that I am very proud of many black folks who are standing up and saying, listen, we don't give a rat's behind about, oh, she got good hair and she got light skin and she represents us. We don't care about that. What we care about, we're looking at policies, and we don't care about if it's coming from the left side or the right side. We don't care. What are the policies? What I just did and what I just showed you so far in this broadcast are the impacts of policies that have been passed down from both sides. I already just showed you, for those that are just coming in 4 years, what we know is the black community is going to be pretty much decimated, because when the Olympics comes, it's a wrap. It's going to be a wrap. You'll see black people there, but they'll go there to work and then be up out of there. But that's it. So we have to focus on that. Okay, so she's putting together her economic policies. Okay, great. Who does she have working with her on that? Oh, BlackRock owns 89%. 89% of the S&P 500, which means they control the nation. So that doesn't, none of that says Trump is running anything, or none of that says that Kamala or Biden's running anything. That tells me exactly who's running the show at the end of the day. And it's now one of those people. This is why it's foolish for people to get in these endless conversations about how black she is or whatever. We're looking at policy. And this is something I fought for years, even, before even Obama came in office. You know how many friends and stuff I lost over that, or so-called friends? Oh, you ain't with Obama? See, you just, whatever, this, that, or whatever. Because they want color. And then after Obama, then they want to complain and talk about how things are bad. Well, did you look at policy? Oh, but see, it just felt good to look up there and see someone that kind of sort of looked like me. I told you, that generation who's forever making those bad decisions, it's time for you to go. You got to leave. You got to leave. You got to leave this earth. You do. That's the only way that's going to happen. That's the only way it's going to happen at this point, because as long as they're around, they're going to continue to push this needle in this ridiculous direction it's going in. And we're going to continue to see this circular stuff happening over and over again, because they're stuck. They got to go. They got to go. They got to go. So anyway, so you got BlackRock that's involved in the planning of this. So, and again, they are making it very clear that they want to change America into a rental place. I am telling you firsthand, I live here in the Phoenix area. I can tell you that a lot of the communities that they're building out here right now, they are not building like open homes that you can buy, even though they do have that. But there's a lot of communities that they're building. I'm talking houses that they're building right now. You think, oh, I can roll up there and buy something. They said, no. These are rental communities. So now they're rolling out whole house communities that are rental, because this is the trend. See, I'm at the cusp of what you're going to start seeing all over the country in a minute. Some of y'all already seeing it where you are. So if you have any interest in owning land, this ain't going to be the place to do that. And then once you start tying rental to, let's say, your social credit score and all of that, it's going to get even worse. It's a slow creep, but it's moving in that direction. So this is why we don't have time to be getting all caught up in, oh, look how she looks. And, I tried to hear as much of Ricky Smiley. I just can't take that. First of all, why would I take political advice from someone's last name Smiley? I mean, that don't even, wasn't on Sesame Street, there was a puppet named Guy Smiley. I mean, why would I take political advice from someone? That's anyway. So that's, I just, no. I just couldn't with him. I could not with him. And they say he was up there crying. I didn't hear that part, and I don't want to hear it. He up there talking about, all you got to do is search the internet, and if you want to find out what our policies are, and all, yeah, we did. I can't with that clown. I can't. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. Did you hear about what's going on with the World Health Organization? Well, now they are saying the monkeypox. Oh, the monkeypox. It's a coming, y'all. Oh, it's coming big now. So you better be careful. Let's take a listen to what the World Health Organization, what they just posted today. YouTube gods, I'm playing the source, so don't get mad at me, okay? I ain't making no claims to nothing. All right, so let's take a listen.
Today, the emergency committee met and advised me that, in its view, the situation constitutes a public health emergency of international concern. I have accepted that advice. The detection and rapid spread of a new clade of Mpox in eastern DRC, its detection in neighboring countries that had not previously reported Mpox, and the potential for further spread within Africa and beyond is very worrying. In addition to other outbreaks, of other clades of mpox in other parts of Africa, it's clear that a coordinated international response is essential to stop these outbreaks and save lives. Today, the emergency committee met and advised me that in its view...
Okay, let me stop there. So you heard what he said. Okay, we got you. I want to put something on the screen and I'm not going to say a word. I'm hoping that you'll read it and that's it, and let it speak for itself, okay? Because, on this digital plantation, they don't permit us to say certain things or to talk about certain things. So we're not going to do that. I'm just going to simply put it on the screen, and hopefully, you got your reading glasses on. For those who need reading glasses, it's okay. Go ahead and put them on. But I'm just going to flash it up here for a little bit, and we're going to keep it moving, okay? You see this right here? I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to put it on the screen here. Now, in our group, we have what's called an hotline group. I just call it hotline. I couldn't think of any other name to call it. It's over on Threema. I actually shared this. And I not only shared this, I shared the document that's on the screen. There's a document here that that the company that was responsible for putting out the the largest company that was responsible for this. They have pages and pages and pages when they did their study after the distribution of this thing. There were pages and pages of what came out of that. I got to talk very broad terms here. And one of those things matches almost perfectly what they're saying, what this man is saying right now. Isn't that very convenient? Oh my God, it's called monkeypox, And they had to tie it to Africa, specifically Congo. And now it's the dirty, stinking Africans now, according to them. This is how they look at Africa. It's the dirty, stinking Africans that are now spreading diseases. Oh, we spent a great deal of time talking about what's going on, how those different diseases came out of Africa, and it had nothing to do with hygiene. It had nothing to do with their low intellect, or they're so stupid and dumb over there. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with all of these ass clowns that went over there, Europeans that went over there and kept doing what they were doing, all the experimentation. And as a result of that, they were able to create these things and then brought it back over here to the States, spread it all over Europe. And then they were able to say, see, it's the Africans. They're doing it. It's like, no, you went over there and because you had open space. You can do pretty much what you had, all of your mad science labs, and you can create what you want and then spread that foolishness all over the place. AIDS, all that stuff, it came from Africa. Like AIDS was just on the trees or something like that. Do you understand? Let me tell you something right now. Do you want to know one of the most healthiest places on the earth? You want to know one of the most healthiest places on the earth? No, I ain't talking about what they say in the media. Like, the healthiest places, when you look at the people, it's Sweden, or is some of these other places in Europe. The clean air and the people, their skin is bright and all that. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about healthy in terms of the where the access to the best medicines are. It's Africa, specifically Central and Southern Africa. You know why I can say that? Because of the fact that many of the pharmaceutical companies, most of their ingredients comes from there. So if Africa is this one big cesspool of disease, then why are you going there to get the medicines? Because you go there, and what they do is they manipulate these pharmaceuticals, add their poisons to it, and make it to where it almost addresses the health issue, but it doesn't do it all the way, because we want you to keep buying your $500 pills. But the amount of herbs and plants, when I tell you, listen, There are people that we are very aware of that we have relationship with that are in that region who have spent time doing it. And I'm not just, like I said, again, this is not, I don't talk on top of my head. I just am very smart and not to tell people everything. But people that we know that actually have done study and have gone to the bush and are taking account of all this different stuff that's there. It's amazing what's growing there. Do you know that there are certain parts in Central and Southern Africa, particularly in Congo, where it's very few people have even gone there because it's so dense? And just imagine the different plants and stuff that are all there. It's a wealth of different medicines and plants and stuff that are growing there, that these pharmaceutical companies, the more access that they're given, they're able to go there and say, they don't look at it like for us, we'll say, look at the dandelion, look at the dandelion can do this, that, or whatever, and all that stuff. They'll look at the dandelion like, the dandelion, it does too much. It does too much healing. What we need to do is let's take a little bit out of it, and then we'll put it in a pill, and then we're going to add all these other chemicals that make you sick. So it will look like it's healing you, but it's also causing all this other stuff too. You see how demonic these people are? But they do this stuff. So I'm actually, like I said, again, I'm reaching out over there. I told the group, I said, I'm actually reaching out over there and finding out for myself, what's the MPOX situation over there? Is it really that, or is it something else? So I'm waiting to hear back from, it's a time difference or whatever, but rest assured, we are definitely on top of that. And we want to find out all the information on that as possible. And we'll be sharing what we do find out. I can't do it on this platform. That's why we had the Threema group, because we can talk about that more freely there. And then not only that, we're going to be, we're also talking about solutions, real solutions for people who are, we're getting into that season right now with the, people naturally get sick and all that, and colds and stuff like that. And, we got Samba tree, but it's not about, buy our products. That's the only thing that's going to protect you. Please, y'all, it ain't like that. We would love for you to do it. But, we always, as we find out stuff, we like, just take it, honey. Take it. Because what I don't want to see is a lot of people dying. But unfortunately, it's what it is. So we got to do our part. And that's what we try to do here. So anyway, let's move on. And let's look at some of the other things that are going on in the news this week. Again, for those that are just joining us, thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys being here. And let's move on to see what else there is that's going on. Oh, here's another news story here. Where is it? Here's another news story here. I love seeing videos like this. I know some of y'all, my gun folks, you like seeing this stuff too. Look at this little girl here. She getting down, y'all. She getting down. Like the post says, she ain't come to play. She ain't come to play at all. So teaching our children how to respectfully handle business with a gun, I think that's a great thing. Oh, she don't need an assault rifle. Why she need all of that? Well, when you see the list of, that was another thing I think I posted in the hotline group, all of these different, the IRS getting weapons like this. Why the heck does the IRS need all these weapons like this? Why they need that? They gearing up for something. So naturally, we should be getting familiar with this stuff too. So anyway, it's funny because you see black folks saying, yeah, that's right, we need to do that. But then they will vote for politicians who want to take this kind of stuff down. Again, going back to your girl Kamala, let's take a look. Where does she stand on this? Kamala Harris is an existential threat to the Second Amendment and supports gun confiscation. Let's see. It says, since President Joe Biden unceremoniously dropped out or was forced out. Yeah, he was forced out. I got video on that too, if we get to that. Kamala Harris has been effectively coronated the Democratic presidential nominee. Gun owners should understand that Harris poses the gravest threat to our Second Amendment rights. In fact, Harris' record suggests that she does not believe in the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to keep and bear arms. Moreover, Harris has repeatedly called for government confiscation of some of America's most popular firearms. In 2008, the U.S. Supreme Court decided the case District of Columbia versus Heller. The case concerned a challenge to Washington, D.C. total ban on handgun ownership. In overruling the ban, the court made it clear that the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to keep and bear arms for lawful purposes, including self-defense. The individual right to keep and bear arms protected by the Second Amendment was later affirmed by the Supreme Court, and it gives all of that right here. If it was up to Harris, let's see. In 2008, Harris was the district attorney for San Francisco. In this capacity, Harris endorsed an amicus curiae, hope I'm saying that right, brief of district attorneys in support of the District of Columbia and its handgun ban in the Heller case. Advocating against the individual's right to keep and bear arms, the brief argued courts have consistently sustained criminal firearms laws against Second Amendment challenges by holding that inter alia, the Second Amendment provides only a militia-related right to bear arms. The Second Amendment does not apply to legislation passed by the state or local governments. According to the document, the Second Amendment does not protect an individual's right, but rather the lower court, Heller, create this right, the brief stated. The lower court system, however, creates a broad private right to possess any firearm that is a lineal descendant of a founding era weapon that is in common use with the military application today. So they were going very hard in trying to say that, oh, this only applies to, back in that time, but we don't really need that stuff here. Here's an article here. They said in 2019 article titled Kamala Harris says she's open to expanding Supreme Court. Bloomberg reported, I am interested in having that conversation, she said in Nashua, New Hampshire, in response to a question about whether she favors adding as many as 4 seats to the court. I'm open to this conversation about increasing the number of people in the United States Supreme Court. Yeah, so she's wanting to do that. Let's see. Okay, in the 2020 presidential campaign in New Hampshire, September 2019, then presidential candidate Harris told reporters that confiscation of commonly owned semi-automatic firearms was a good idea. We have to work with the details. There's a lot of details, but we have to take those guns off the street. So she's very much someone who wants to kind of creep in the direction of increased gun control. And again, what you see on criminals don't follow the law. Okay, this is like when I hear people who are pro-gun control, it's like a simple thing. It's just like it just escapes their brain. Criminals don't follow the law. So in other words, criminals, if someone is a criminal, they are going to find a way to kill you. Okay, these laws only adversely impact people who are law-abiding, like that precious little girl that we saw with shooting her gun. She's law-abiding. She is on a gun range, and she's handling business. And this is how it should be. And there's nothing wrong with that. And these are things that if you, as a citizen, you should be very concerned about this kind of stuff. See, if you're only invested in, but she looks like us, then all this stuff is going to escape you until it's too late. Especially black folks. I think we did a video a while back where we talked about the history of black people, how you had teams of black gun owners that were protecting the civil rights movement. If it wasn't for that, you had a lot of these marches that wouldn't even have happened if they didn't see these black folks out here protecting their own. And here you're going against history. You people, Smiley wants to talk about history, a historic moment. By going in this direction, you're actually erasing black history, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, let's move on. All right, let's see. Next topic. What else we got here? We're going to talk about here. That, like I said, we're just covering some of the news of the week and seeing what else there is out here. Let's take a break here. This is a video that I came across. I think the story behind this is that a father who works 3 jobs. And his goal was to get, one of his goals was to get his daughter a dress that she has been wanting for a school dance. And I thought this was a really precious moment here. Let's take a look at that, and then we'll get back into the news here. Check it out. See, people don't realize, like I said, when I see the crap that black men are getting out here, you see me amp up, when I'm doing on this platform, really trying to highlight the positive that a lot of black men are out here doing. People don't really realize, some people don't, the people out here that are talking the most talk, it's a lot of it has to do with the fact that they have never experienced that. And I feel bad for them on that. But it does need to be challenged because, see, the narrative about black men not caring about their children or whatever, good black men do. And I tell you, I give them my last, even though my children are are adults now, I wouldn't think twice and giving my last for them because of the love that I have for them. And it's just something that our creator just put inside of us. We don't even think nothing of it. It's just, how people, a lot of times they say, it's that mama bear instinct when they're talking about mothers and the great lengths that a mother would do to protect her children. Well, fathers have that too. They do. You just don't hear a whole lot about it, but it's true. It's very much true. So yeah, seeing things like that, I got to be careful, which is crazy because, YouTube is like, well, did you film it? And I'm like, oh, I didn't. I found it. And they're like, well, you can't have that up. So I got to jump through hoops on that. So we'll see, how YouTube handles that because they added that little emotional music on there too, which I think gave it a nice touch, but still, I still got to be careful. Anyway, let's move on. Nice break. Check this out here. I found this. Now, how this week, I guess we're talking a lot about Kamala. There's a few non-Kamala related stuff here, but I just kind of giving you stuff that's, that's really been the talk of the news, this week. And while all this is going on, isn't it interesting that Ukraine hasn't really been in the headlines? Ain't that something? You see how they do the shell game? They get you all focused on this. Meanwhile, they're still sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. That has not stopped, y'all. That still hasn't stopped. Okay, we ain't forget about that. Okay, we can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time over here. But you notice how Ukraine has not been talked about at all. There's a full war that's going over there, and they're sending billions of dollars over there. See, we ain't crazy. Okay, we ain't crazy over here. Anyway, now this week, or was it this week or last week? I think it was the weekend or so. Now, Trump had been saying that what he's proposing is to take away the taxes from people who work on a tip platform. In other words, like if you work on tips, there's currently a tax associated with that. You have to report those things. So one of Trump's policies was to take away that tax. Well, guess who jumped on that and said, well, I'm going to do it too. So she proposed that, and all the dimwits that follow her like, yeah, that's right. And then when people brought up, well, Trump had been saying that. Hey, shut up. He going down anyway. Yeah, we did it, right? But will they bring this up? Kamala Harris hopes service workers forget she was the tie-breaking vote for the IRS to go after tips. And you can look this up yourself. Let's play the clip here real quick.
The yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the bill, as amended, is passed.
Okay, stop there. It says the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. The Inflation Reduction Act changed a wide range of tax laws and provided funds to improve our services and technology to make tax filing easier for you. I turned the volume down because, anytime they play music on here, I don't think they're saying anything here. All right. I'm just waiting. All right, here we go here. And it says, okay, and then after telling the country the 87,000 IRS agents were on track, were to track down people making 400,000 or more, the IRS launched this site to go after service workers making tips. And then here's the article. You can look it up. I verified it myself. IRS introduces new service industry tip reporting program. Ain't that something? They ain't mentioned. Nobody mentioned that. And then it goes on here. Yeah, so she took that from him. But you bring these things up, and then people don't want to hear. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, did y'all hear about RFK Jr. being removed off of the from the polls in New York? Judge Christina Ryba, R-Y-B-A. They said she invalidated 100,000 plus signatures. It was over a technicality. I mean, these people are just on some stuff, man. Here you go. It was a black judge, by the way. That's why I'm mentioning it. It was a black judge. All right. In 2000, and then someone did their homework on this judge here. This is heard here, by the way. Yep. Black girl magic strikes again. Let's read it. Judge who removed RFK Jr. from the New York ballot was fired for ethical missteps during the 2015 campaign. Yesterday, Judge Christina Ryba invalidated over 100,000 signatures for RFK Jr.'s New York ballot access. In 2015, she was fired from her position as a lawyer for the state appeals court the day before she was elected as Supreme Court judge for ethical missteps. Presiding Judge Karen Peters informed Ryba of her termination following a sequence of events that began in March 2015 when she, a Democrat, began her run for state Supreme Court. Peters tried to distance herself from her campaign from the outset, but she found herself mentioned in a campaign letter in October. She also solicited court system employees, including judges at various levels, with 2 election-related emails sent to their court system accounts, one of which was about a campaign fundraiser. New York Commission on Judicial Conduct prohibit a judge or candidate from engaging in inappropriate political activity, which includes publicly endorsing or publicly opposing another other than running against another candidate for public office or personally soliciting campaign contributions. Anyway, she was violating some stuff, but somehow she still ended up there She used her black girl magic power to remove RFK Jr. off of the ballot. So as of now, as far as I know, he is not on the New York ballot. When I tell you this thing is so rigged, there are many things that I have been trying to find on social media, or not social media, Google, that it's not even showing up anymore. It's really something. And I look up a lot of things. I'm looking up things all the time. But to see it's how they are hiding articles, burying articles, and don't think if you go to some of these other ones like Quaint or some of these other search engines that they're any better, because they're all in cahoots. They all work together. And did you see the other day too? Oh yeah, I got it right here. We rolling tonight. Okay, now the other day Trump did an interview on X or on Twitter, and he and Elon Musk interviewed him. Right, it was on Spaces. Right, it's just all audio, and so I think the numbers of people in total that heard that interview was over almost, I think it was like close to 1 billion. Twitter is a beast when it comes to the amount of reach it has. Well, mainstream media didn't like that. They got pissed off. And so here you got, once again, here's your black man who represent the Washington Post. He's at the press briefing, and he's a little pissed off about it. Let's take a listen to his question, and I want you to pay attention to the answer that was given.
Elon Musk is slated to interview Donald Trump tonight on X. I don't know if the president is going to tune in. Feel free to say if he is or not. But I think that misinformation on Twitter is not just a campaign issue. It's a America issue. What role does the White House or the president have in sort of stopping that, or stopping the spread of that, or sort of intervening in that? Some of that was about campaign misinformation, but it's a wider thing, right?
Yeah, no, and you've heard us talk about this many times from here, about the responsibilities that social media platforms have when it comes to misinformation, disinformation. Don't have anything to read out from here about specific ways that we're working on it, but we believe that they have the responsibility. These are private companies, so we're also mindful of that too. But look, it is. I think it is incredibly important to call that out as you're doing. I just don't have any specifics on what we have been doing internally.
You hear that? We don't have any specifics on what we've been doing internally as it pertains to this interview. Now, what's interesting is that guess what happened at this interview? They had an attack. The Twitter servers were attacked, and for 50 minutes, they couldn't even do anything because mysteriously they were getting attacked so bad they couldn't start the interview. It was a 50-minute delay. So here you have the White House that's pretty much acknowledging that, yeah, we're working on some things right now. And then this happens. You better wake up and know what you're dealing with. You better wake up and know the country that we live in right now. You better wake up, because you think just because they may be on your side, it ain't gonna be there for long, because they will switch on you real quick, and a lot of people are gonna get their wake up call. For them to be able to pull something off like that and nobody talks about that, that's really something. That's really something. Let me see. I had one other story, I think. Let me see. How about that story? Y'all hear about that story? It's a black woman who works in a school cafeteria. Well, she you gotta laugh, man. You gotta laugh. Anyway, she basically was found some kind of way to use the access she had in the school system to buy, how much was it? Hold on. $1.5 million worth of chicken wings. What in the world? This is an older story. This story been out for a minute, but I guess it finally got its court hearing. But let's read it here. It says Illinois school district teacher sentenced to 9 years in prison for stealing $1.5 million worth of chicken wings. What are you in here for? Well, I'm in here for murder. What you in here for? Well, I robbed a bank. What you in here for? Well, I stole $1.5 million worth of chicken wings. The 68-year-old Vera Liddell. Vera, that you already dating yourself on that one. Pulled off the chicken wing heist from July 2020 to February 2022. They said she would place orders for the wings with a food provider for the school district, but the district would not keep the wings. She ordered over 11,000 cases of wings. The heist took place during the pandemic when schools were closed, but some students would receive meal kits sent to their homes. The scheme was revealed when someone at the district found the invoices, which included wings with bones, which is something that is typically not served to students. Oh, man. 68 years old. You going to go down like that over some wings? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. They better have been good, though. They better have been good. I hope it was worth it. Let me see what else I got here. Let me see. The Wang chase, we talked about that. Let's see. Yeah, and any other stories, and there's plenty more stories I got here. I'm not going to cover all this stuff, but any other stories, like things that I cannot talk about, I try to post that stuff on our over on our hotline, in our hotline group, and that way we can talk about that stuff there. We don't talk about it here because they just kind of nuts over here on this plantation. So anyway, we'll end off with two videos that are non-news related. I think we'll just leave it at that for the evening. Cindy Trim. How many of y'all know Cindy Trim? How many of y'all heard of Cindy Trim? I remember when I was in the church world, I used to hear that name. I never really listened to anything. I think my wife used to listen to her every now and then, some of her stuff. But Cindy Trim, there's a video that's out here. I want y'all got to see it. You got to see it. Now, I didn't do the editing on this. This ain't my post here because it gets a little annoying. But I want you to hear, and I want you to take note of something here. Let's take. Just go.
You just do me a favor, just a simple favor. Can I get about 10 of you to bring me $20? Just 10 of you. $20 that you don't need, because we're not going to give it back to you. But just run up, and when you come and say, is that all? That's what I want you to say. That's it. Is that all? Yeah. Is that all? Come on. Say, I wanted to give more. You only asked for 20. Say, is that all? Is that all? I'm sorry to insult. Hey. I'm sorry to insult you all for just asking for 20. I want to show you something. 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 Can I get another 10 of you just to bring $100? Just $100. I want to show you something. I don't hear, is that all? Yeah, because I'm insulting you, right?
Now, you want to know why men don't go? You want to know why I did the broadcast I did the other day? I said the church is a women's organization. It is. You ain't going to see men doing that kind of stuff. Now, men do there's some crazy things that men do, but they're not going to go to church like that. I want to show you something. She didn't even need a poll. She bypassed the poll. She just said, just bring your money up here and put it in my hand. And I want you to say it. Say it. Is that all? Say it. She didn't even need a poll. She just asked for it and people ran up there and gave it to her. My gosh. Yeah. You can have that. You can have the church. Take it. Please take it. Yes, sir. Take it. Take it again. Like Benny Hinn would say. I'm trying to see if I have anything else here. It was, yeah. I know what I was going to show you. The other thing here. Again, non-news related. I think this one has music on it, but I'm going to have to turn the music down on it. But I know y'all would like this video too. All right. And I think this is a great way to end the broadcast this evening. All right. Let me see. I love seeing videos like this. It's 2 minutes long. I'll just, because it has music on it, y'all. I know for the full effect, to hear the music is really something, but I can't risk it on this plantation. I'm sorry, but it's this young black woman here. Her whole journey on losing weight. I want you to, I got to turn that down. And while you look at her, she working out. She working it out. She over in is that Africa? Wait, I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know. Look at her. Come on. She said, I'm gonna have my hot wig on. But I'm gonna still be out here working. Whew, I don't know how y'all do it with them hot hats on. But she doing it. And that day she ain't had no wig. She says, bump that. It's a wigless day. But she's still doing it. Look at that. Go on, sis. Now look. Go ahead. Look at her. Woo! Look at her. Don't look nothing like she did before. Still going. Look at her. Wow. Oh my goodness. Hey, now, they zooming in. Okay. I'm just playing. Hey, look at that. Go ahead. Ah. Wow. Ain't that something? Very happy to see that. I love seeing people like that stay committed and they're able to make those changes like that or whatever. And it's never too late. Never ever too late. I'm speaking to myself too, but it's never too late, so I'll just leave off with that, that listen, by doing that, this young lady has saved so much of her life by focusing on that. And that's what we try to do here. This is what we try to encourage. Now, everybody ain't going to do that much what she did, but what we do encourage is that you to really value your health. Take the value that doctors will try to assess. take it away from them and you start putting a value on your own health. You understand what I'm saying? This is why it's so very important for you to take that away, because the system has already demonstrated that they don't care. Did you see, there was a video that came out, it was this week. I don't know the backstory. That's why I didn't really talk about it. But basically, this individual died in the hospital, and the family was in there. They were just like praying over the child. I mean, just crying out, and praying, that this child would resurrect, basically, because they said the doctors literally just did something and walked out, and the person died. And I'm so tired of hearing stories like that, and I'm sure you are too. And so this is why we're so very much invested in making sure that our people begin to get a new vision for themselves and for your health. That's why we got this sale going on right here at sambatree.com. So swing on through there and check that out and see what we got going on there. And, rather if you buy from us or not, we would love for you to buy from us. If not, that's okay too. But we want you to focus on your health, okay? Listen, y'all, listen. It's Wednesday. I know this ain't Wednesday music, but we made it halfway through, so might as well celebrate here. This is from our album, Sound Time, which is available on over on sambatree.com. Listen, you guys take care. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next time.